Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1. I'm going to do another whiteboard, and this is more tactical than homesteading, how to protect your retreat. And really, this would be great to use to protect your community or your small town. I'm going to talk about this because a few preppers I've talked to lately have said that they're going to use a small hill or a knoll near their community to observe the countryside, and that's what they were going to use, and which is great. But let me give you some input on this and some ideas to help this. First of all, pretend this is a mountain and this is the topographical crest. Some of the people wanted to stay up here so they can observe the valley, which is good. You have great observation, but the problem is if you're up here on the top of the hill or the topographical crest, you are silhouetting yourself, so anyone down here can look up and easily spot you. Or if you make a little position up here, you can definitely spot it easier up here than if you went a little bit down the hill and occupied what we call the forward military crest. If you were down here, it's harder to see because whatever you do is going to blend into the earth, and you're definitely not silhouette. If you stood up here against a nice big white or blue sky and someone was down in the valley looking up, they're going to see you. Do not, if you can help it, occupy the topographical crest. Occupy the forward military crest, especially if you're going to build any type of position or any bunker position. Alright, the value of what I'm going to show you is called the reverse slope defense. You're actually going to set up your defense to be on the other side of the hill. A lot of people say, oh man, what are you talking about? I won't be able to shoot the guy, I can't see the guy. First of all, the enemy is down in the valley or down here. He is a strong enemy, and he has weapon systems, be it mortars, artillery, be it long-range sniping weapons like 50 cals or belt-fed 50 cal, where he has a huge advantage over us preppers trying to protect our community. From a long distance, he can observe us if we're on top of the topographical crest, and if he can observe us, he can use these weapon systems against us. Let's say he has a mortar or two. If he can actually see our positions and see us moving around, he can actually drop rounds on us, and which will then, he can correct that round. So when the first rounds miss, he can simply see where it landed and correct it, and he can see what he's doing. So we don't want to be on the topographical crest because he has the advantage with weapon systems. So we might have to use the reverse slope. Another reason you can use the reverse slope is, let's say we occupied this and the enemy took it from us. We had to retreat. Now we have an option of retreating back to our reverse slope defense that we've prepared. Or we might get up on the hill here and look, and there's no cover and concealment. It's just green grass all the way down the forward military crest. There's no cover, there's no concealment. So we're definitely not going to occupy this. It gives us no advantage for trying to stop rounds or no observation from the enemy. So we're going to say, well, we're going to have to use a reverse slope defense. We also will gain a lot of the reverse slope. We're going to gain huge amounts for surprise. The enemy will not be able to locate us. They won't be able to see us, and they don't know what to expect when they top the topographical crest. So it will give us surprise. We are still going to have some LPOPs or some security elements here to observe the enemy, but this will be a very small unit, and this will be able to pull back before they're decisively engaged. Make sure these guys don't get decisively engaged where retreating is not going to, they can't accomplish anything because they will be killed in the process of retreating. They have to retreat with plenty of time so the enemy doesn't overtake them. Also, when you do retreat, you're going to lose some things. You're not going to have observation on the enemy. So the nice thing about this, if you have two small hills next to each other, that you have a reverse slope set up on the other hill, and the other hill can actually observe your forward military crest. They can actually fire into the forward military crest. They can observe the forward military crest and communicate with you down here. So you have eyes on here. Plus you're putting some rounds into here, so they can't stop here and get a plan. They're taking rounds, so they want to keep moving. The nice thing about this reverse slope is also you have a lot of maneuverability back here. If the enemy is here and you realize that the force that's coming through will overwhelm you, there's no way of putting up a actual good defense, you can maneuver out, you can flee, you can leave, or you can reposition yourself to take advantage of whatever situation you see. So you have a lot of maneuverability because the enemy over here, he cannot see you. The big advantage is what you want to do when the enemy's coming up is channelize that enemy. You pick the spot where he comes across, or multiple spots. That way, with your limited amount of resources, you can put everything you have on a few spots on that topographical crest and get maximum effective use out of your weapons and your rounds. So that is really what you want to do. So when the enemy's coming up the hill, your units here leave, your security or your listening post, observation post are going to fall back and assume their defensive positions. The enemy will be coming up. Hopefully you have the other hill shooting into them. So when they crest this thing, you are going to be laying down very low to the ground. You're going to put as many rounds into the enemy. Huge advantage here, because when he crests that, he's going to he's engaged. He has to make quick decisions. So if he comes forward, he's still being engaged, or he might stall. Some units might retreat back because the rounds are too many rounds coming into them, and other units might go forward. So now we have some confusion. They're not committing everything they have in one final push to overtake you. So that's a huge advantage to the defense, because they're only dealing with part of the enemy. Another advantage here, if we can put some type of obstacles here that they can't see. So when they come across and come down, all of a sudden they can't get to us. We have something like a protective wire. Obstacles, so that's keeping them in this kill zone while we have more time to shoot at them. There is definitely some disadvantages for us being in here. One is observation. If we don't have that other hill over here observing, we do have a little problem with observation. And another huge advantage for the enemy is when he does crest this, if he can suppress us enough where he can advance, he's fighting downhill, which is a huge advantage for the attacking enemy. I hope I haven't confused you. The nice thing about this is you can also have the advantage to counterattack. After you really confuse the enemy and cause some casualties here, you have the opportunity to counterattack. That's a whole separate whiteboard, but which is very important. Counterattacking when you have that enemy on his back is huge to finish him off. So this is called the reverse slope defense. It can be very useful as preppers because we don't have the weapon systems that could be coming against us. So we're going to use our advantage in our ARs and AKs and maximize their effectiveness by closing the distance with the bad guys, so he cannot use his long-range weapons, and if he tries to use his mortars or artillery, all he knows is we're set up on this hill. If he doesn't have observation to correct and adjust those rounds, he's throwing a lot of rounds over here hoping to hit us. In a survival situation, I'm not saying we're going to go against mortars or artillery, but if someone comes across a few mortars, you can take that advantage from him by using the reverse slope defense. I hope this has helped and I haven't confused you. I'd be glad to answer any questions about this, and hopefully next video I can do another one on how to successfully counterattack this force that you have definitely stunned and is confused to take advantage of the situation. Thanks for watching.